this shit.
Anyway, great topic. But now topic. I think it's time for what?
Our album review.
Okay,
well, goddamn.
Am I rushing?
I didn't know. Shit, you caught me off guard.
I'm so excited to talk about this.
Okay.
What are we going to talk about?
Stay excited. So, this week's album review comes from the MMG man himself, Wale. He didn't drop the new one for you folks. Wow, that's crazy. Let's rock with this shit. Let's get it, Mike. Who chose this shit? You chose this? I'm gonna say this sounds like something you would love.
Oh, you know why I love it.
I know.
You know why I love it.
Do you hear me? I'm like a young city idea of my city.
I'm surprised Jadena wasn't attached to this record.
Yo.
Hey.
So let's talk about
G
it.
Dancing over here.
In general, though. In general, I'm gonna pose ladies first. In general, talk to me, Layla. How do you feel about this album? How does this resonate with you?
First of all, I didn't realize this was his 6th album. That means he's been dropping some stuff that I didn't pay attention to. And
Shine was before this, if I remember correctly.
There was one right before
Yes.
Shine, right after Shine, that came out. That's what I'm saying.
Let me go back.
Look at the discography on that. But I was super pumped. First of all, let's talk his intro. He won this year for the best intro track on an album, and it was entitled Sue Me, and it was he just brought you to church. First of all, I don't know where the sample came from, but it's a sample. I've heard it somewhere before. The vocals are dope, but it brought me to church. It made me feel good, like I'm about to get into a dope ass album. Let's hear a little bit of it.
I'm loving your timing.
Why?
Your timing.
Man. And he's so deep with what he's talking about. You know what I mean? Like, what? You giving me that look? G?
No. I'm 1,000% on board with that, because Wale is a lyrical artist.
He is,
and people have forgotten about that because he's had some bad runs. You know, it reminds me of like Lupe Fiasco, and what I'm not doing, for those that are watching shit on YouTube, I'm not comparing Wale to Lupe at all. Hands down, Lupe is a much more lyrical artist. However, Wale is in a lyrical lane, just like Lupe is, just like the now. What does Tut call him? The I dress like I'm broke J. Cole. Homeless J. Cole. Like they're in this, and Wale and J. Cole are close. Like they're cool.
Yeah.
They've had conversations and shit. And I'm gonna go back to Wale's freshman cover.
That was a good ass year for Double XL.
Yeah. I want to go back to that real quick, because like my expectations for Wale have always been high because of that. You know what I mean? So coming out of like Ambition, which is to me one of his best albums, I was to some degree let down. And Ambition for me was preceded stuff like those mixtapes where he Something About Nothing and more About Nothing or some shit like that, the way he did the what was that, not Frasier but Seinfeld. Yeah, when he did all the Seinfeld stuff, like that shit to me was fire as fuck.
Yeah.
So I've always wanted the lyrical great production choosing Wale, and I hadn't had that for a very long time.
I think I said this to my friend the other day when I was bragging about this album. I guess we know where I'm going to be going with this album. But I was like, there were a lot of people that turned their back against him, or just like wasn't feeling him, or like dissing him. And I'm like, I've never had that pocket with Wale. Like, I was a fan from day one, album one, and I stayed a fan all the way till till. Did you see the discography? To see the album that I think I missed last year that I didn't hear?
The 2018 album. Yeah, I saw
what
that.
What is it called?
It was hold on, let me go back to it because I was looking at the No Days Off.
So I mean, other than that one little hiccup that I had, I feel like he's never missed a beat for me. So I really always enjoyed his music, and I always feel like he was for the ladies, and I feel like he strives more on the charts when he has the lady love tracks versus him trying to be hard. And maybe I shouldn't be saying trying to be hard, but having more tracks for the fellas. Also, let's just back up a little bit if we can pull up the album art. First of all, this is a Banksy inspired album cover. As you can see, his famous the girl with the red balloon. I forgot the actual title of it, but this was his choice. First of all, that's his Ambition cover that we see that is being shredded up. The red balloon, I don't really know what that signifies, but I also love the two hands that are reaching out for it, and I don't really know what that could possibly mean. I like digging deep into it. You could tell I was that girl in English class and art class, but there's a lot going on a simple album art cover, and I appreciate it so much. And I think that speaks volumes to what he has inside. First off, for people that don't really know what happened with the Banksy artwork that he had, was in an art auction. He had a 1.6 mil, I believe he sold it for, and right when the guy said sold, it started shredding. Nobody knew that there was a shredder piece on there
built into the frame.
And he did that because he hates people profiting off of his art when his art is supposed to be for the people. And he's a graffiti artist. And so what happened right after that, you would think the person would be pissed off that they just bought something that's half shredded. But the price actually doubled. It became worth more. And I feel like that's what he's speaking to on his album cover art, is that, this was a great album, but now it means so much more than what it did originally. And you can definitely hear throughout this album how he has matured on so many different levels. And I don't think a lot of people understand and know that sometimes as a human being, when you go through things, you become a hermit crab and you're not necessarily at your best. And maybe that's why some people, kind of put their back towards him a little bit, towards the music scene. But now he's ready to come out of that shell, and he's willing to put his heart out there. And that's what he did on this album. Wow, that's crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is what I'm going through. I don't want to give out too much because I feel like I should save some of it right before my rating. But I mean, what are your thoughts cohesively for the album?
Save shit for your rating. Say what you want to show.
I feel I was talking too much. Okay.
No, you're fine. I would say this. Once again, folks, I'm 1,000% on board with this album. And let me say this: there are things about this album I don't like. Right. There are choices about there's arrangement issues with this album, things that I'm just not fucking with. However, there's a lot that I am fucking with. So from the cadence choice, I go back. I don't know why I'm stuck on cadence, but it's the way people just hop on the pocket.
It's really important.
Yeah, and it's showing up so much that I personally enjoy it. I'm looking at Wale's 2009 freshman class. 2009,
10 years ago?
Yeah, 10 years ago. This is 10th anniversary of his freshman cover. But I think, and wow, that's crazy, right?
That's crazy.
You like that? You like what I just did right there? But this album is good. Mm-hmm. Not great, but good. The song that you talked about, Sue Me, fucking phenomenal.
Great. It just ended.
Phenomenal. Great. And almost to the point to where I hate that it's the first song, because the song after it is on a whole nother. It makes you.
It's on the same wave though.
No. I'm inspired totally differently. Like I want to be a better person when I hear Sue Me. when I hear him talking about, being inspired by Issa Rae, because he mentions that in in the vocals or the verses for this,
I want to root
talk
for
about
everybody that's black.
Yeah, because she said that when being interviewed at either the Grammys or red carpet for Grammys or something, and she was like, "Shit, I'm rooting for everybody black," and it was like the world stopped.
Yeah,
and was like, "Damn," because people aren't that honest anymore, and now we are getting to that point in society
for sure.
But as you mentioned earlier, you've got these tracks on here that are more R&B inspired, that are more neo soul vibes. I'm fucking with it. He's got the king of R&B with Jacquees. That's just funny. He's got a Byron Tilson on this motherfucker. Yeah. He's got just people that are truly in the pocket. That shit with Boogie is fire.
Is that supposed to be A Boogie with the hoodie?
No, that's Boogie. So two different people.
Okay. Because I tried to correct somebody. I said that's not A Boogie with the hoodie. It's
not at all. And don't worry about it, because I'm going to do a Flow Mo Mellow talking about Boogie coming up next month.
Oh, so for December, we're gonna be doing our little thing next month.
Yeah. So
and the fact that he brought Kelly Price up out of nowhere. Nobody is expecting Kelly Price on a hip hop album.
Kelly's dope. She's been dope. Been dope for a long time. So. Overall, it's a good album. It's enjoyable. I've rocked it. Almost 40 plays for the 30 plus plays for the whole album.
Wow.
Yeah, for getting ready for this album review, and that's because I enjoy it. And after Pole Dancer, like I'm back into it with Sue Me. So at 15 tracks, it loops for me. Like I said, there's a couple of things on here I would get rid of, but overall, like I understand it. One of my other favorite tracks from this album is "Love Me Nina." Semi, because it's very introspective. It's and it gives you a different perspective about guns and being explosive in nature,
especially in our current climate.
Yeah,
for sure.
Hell yeah. So that to me has a very strong tie-in to Sue Me, right? Black Bonnie, very strong. Bringing out Pink Sweats on 50 in a Safe, like it's. The things about this album that I really fucking enjoy. Enjoy.
I mean, as far as arrangements, do you feel like Sue Me probably would have been a good closer?
I think it would have been an excellent closer. I would have preferred Sue Me than Pole Dancer. Right? And nothing to take away from Meg, and I think it's a good album. I think it's a good track.
Yeah.
It's a good record. I think the production is tight on that, very tight production.
That was a Meg record.
Yeah, it is a Meg record. It is a Meg record. But to me, I wouldn't end my album with that. Yeah. I would end my album with something that says I am Wale. Something that says, wow, that's crazy. Like what we're hearing right now, which is Love Me Nina. Semi-automatic. I would end with that. I would end with Sue Me. You know what I'm saying? I would even end with Black Bonnie before I ended with Pole Dancer.
Yeah, I wouldn't have. Pole Dancer is a middle of the album type of record.
Yeah. Or late start. Track 3, track 4.
Yeah, because it gets you in a group. I will say this. I am actually very shocked. First of all, I fell asleep to this album in a good sense. I actually took a nap before I got here.
Aww,
I was in the garage and I was like, I'm so tired. Oh my God, my job is stressful. It's a lot of work. So I had to take a nap on the way here, and obviously I was listening to this album, and I don't know if the rating got higher because it kind of got in my dreams a little bit. But I was like, damn, like I literally have not skipped any track since I first listened to this last week till today. I've never skipped a track. Like everything I feel flows perfectly. I do feel like Sue Me would have been a great way to end it, but I also feel like it was that powerful to start it because there's nothing else on the record that sounds like that. And I think that's another reason why I love Wow, That's Crazy is because all of the tracks are kind of within it's like each track is an island all in the same area. You know what I mean? Like it belongs together, but it's its own, entity within itself. So, for me, the album.
That was me. Don't worry about it.
Oh, I was like, what is that? Oh, okay. I feel like his features. He has 15 tracks, which we always talk about tracks, and 15 in this case was pretty good. There were no skits. However, the one thing that I always get upset about with artists is when they have too many goddamn features.
It's feature heavy.
And he literally has
A feature
out of
damn near
15
every
songs,
fucking song.
he only has 3 without a feature.
Yep.
And I feel like that kind of bothered me a little bit because I'm like, I want you to stand on your own. However, I ain't mad at it, G. I ain't mad at it because all of the features were the perfect complement to what he had to bring to the table.
Okay.
There's only one out of 15 tracks where I was kind of like, we could have did without it, and that was Debbie.
You don't like Debbie?
No, it's nah. There was no need for that. But Routine, I feel like, okay. I heard a lot of people talking about this album, and they actually hated the album. A lot of people hated it. That's why I was like, I'm so excited to hear what you gonna say, because I feel like I'm the only one that really likes this album.
You're not alone.
And I feel like a lot of people that were dissing it were because they were expecting a lot more tracks, such as Routine with Rick Ross and Meek Mill. And let me tell you, that's a hot... Are we playing that right now? That's a hot ass track, first of all. But I think a lot of people...
It's hot.
It's hot. Caliente.
H-A-U-T-E. Hot.
Did I say it like that? It's so weird. Oh my God. I'm not going to watch this replay. But it is definitely a hot track for the entire album. And if we can play a little bit of it right now, I'd like to
let it rock out. Let that shit rock out, Mike.
I ain't playing in the whole nother league. Go to Philly, then I go to Reddy's, then I get a rollie, then I meet a bitch, and then I get a zip, and then I take a dip into her womanist. I feel like Carson Wentz. I got the wisdom for niggas. Sit the bitch. I got a funny feeling that you niggas falling. Boy, that
beat drop. And maybe because this is definitely a Rick Ross produced type track. Like, this is something that you would expect on a Rick Ross album. But I think a lot of people wanted to hear that type of Wale flow. But let me tell you something. And pay attention right here, right? Artists, you have to have at least 2 to 3 records that are for the ladies or make the ladies feel good. If y'all haven't learned anything from the blueprint of LL Cool J and Nelly and goddamn Ja Rule, baby. Oh, that was, dang, I did the wrong baby. Damn, it's okay. Then baby. I don't know what you've been doing. Wale has found, like, Lotus Flower Bomb. When that came out years ago, all of us ladies was
2011.
Like, that's our shit. So I think this album has a lot of records for women, but I also feel like if you're actually listening to what he has to say, a lot of the things are gems that he's spitting that are definitely for the males out there. And, you know, I just have to say, if you really don't like this album, I don't know what you typically listen to. You're probably in mourning because mumble rap is gone.
You're so stupid.
Just saying.
You're probably in mourning.
They're probably in mourning because the fact I heard a guy say this is a trash ass album. I said, whoa, bro, slow down.
Yeah, slow. Trash. Yes, that's heavy.
I need to figure out how to get your YouTube taken down because that was a horrible album review, and he didn't give any reason other than this. It was on horrible. YouTube. Yeah, I watched one of the album reviews.
We're gonna cut this shit and drop it on YouTube. Fuck that dude.
Yes, Wale is not, and neither is Logic. Nowhere near the worst or the bad.
Uncle Budden, his ass.
Nah, that's great.
Handmade Budden. That motherfucking
Handmade Tales.
Nigga look like you from the Handmade Tales. Male version.
Oh my God. So let's get to our ratings.
All right. So
your Bippa.
Yeah, of course I'm gonna hit him with the Bippa, but did you just shake the?
I didn't mean
that was funny though. I didn't know what the fuck that was. Go ahead and give ladies first.
This is not gonna be a snippet. I hope not. What?
Ladies first, unless you want me to go.
No, I threw it to you. Don't have to loop it back.
Fuck it.
You acting like the Rockets last night.
You goddamn. So Bippa, for those that know, like I know, those that like to rock with it, we talking bars, we talking impact value. We gotta talk production. We gotta talk playback, and of course arrangement. So without any further fucking notice, we know Wale got the bars. No questions asked. Dude has bars. Now, some of these tracks are impactful, like Sue Me. Like we talked earlier about the Love Me Nina and Semi-Automatic.
Oh, great.
There are tracks on here that have impact. There are other tracks that are introspective from a different perspective. There are tracks here just for the club. So impacts here and there. Production, I like the fact that it's diverse. You know, and there are times where you can have the same producer and still have a diverse sound on your album.
Right.
I enjoy the fact that it is diverse production. I've wrapped up 30 plus plays, and I got some songs that are higher than 30. In less than
while he was on vacation.
Shit, and I didn't listen to it until like a few days after it came out, because there was part of my vacation I didn't have motherfucking Wi-Fi, and I wouldn't even. We'll talk about that off mic. Yeah, I was pissed. I was big mad for that bullshit. But because of that, I will say that the playback value is high for this. And last but not least is arrangement. I feel like the album's all over the fucking place. Aww. Unfortunately, I think it's good. It's just I think niggas just shook the goddamn dice up and rolled them hoes. Like I don't feel like, and wherever it landed, they're like, fuck it, this is what we rocking with. Yeah, press that shit. It's mastered. We're done. That's what I feel like happened from an arrangement perspective. So I would love to, and hey, arrangement is key. We may need to do a separate podcast just on arrangement and put that shit out there and give you our fucking arrangement of an album, and we just deconstruct and reconstruct the whole goddamn album around the arrangement of something. But I'll say this, with BIPA in mind, comes to these 15 tracks. Of those 15, at least half are hot as fuck. Another quarter of the half that's left is okay. There's about maybe 2 or 3 tracks on here that I would cut, right? Maybe 4 that I would probably get rid of. With that being said, out of 15, I've got to give this a hard 11 out of 15.
Wow, that's a pretty high score.
That's good.
Coming from
that's
you.
Good.
Yeah, I'm actually very happy. See, when we have those moments where we kind of agree,
yeah,
I'm happy.
11 out of 15.
Okay. All right. I think the only thing I'll probably disagree on is the arrangement.
Okay.
The fact that I just let it flow without skipping a track, I feel like the arrangement was good. And I'm very harsh when it comes down to arrangements and beat selections and everything else before I even get to the lyrics. But I don't know. I may feel differently after listening to it for another week or two, which always happens. You know, our, thought process on an album will change the more you listen to it. Overall, lyrically, I feel like everything was there. People need to remember that Wale is more of a poet. You know what I mean? He speaks with his words so clearly and so cut. You can see it, you can feel it, and I appreciate that in an artist. He's very artistic in that sense. I mean, look at the album cover, for crying out loud. I like that he had different topics that he brought up. He definitely shows his, black pride and especially with women. This is a man appreciates a black woman. He appreciates his community. He appreciates his Nigerian roots. What side of town is he from? He's from the West, DC, right?
Yeah.
He
or DMV area.
Yeah, DMV. He just exudes. He's happy. He's proud of whatever he represents. And because of that, his lyrical ability is there. High scores on that. His beat selection was really freaking good. I cannot stress this enough. If your beats aren't there, people aren't really going to listen to the album. And for me, he had a different type of beat, a gospel type beat. He had him an Afro-Caribbean beat, which is one of my favorite tracks on the actual album, the second one, which is called, dang it, why don't I have it ready? Love and Loyalty featuring Manny Wells. That was definitely one of my favorites. And I also loved On Chill, as well as Sue Me and Love Me Nina. Actually, I loved everything except one song. So for me, I will spoil the top 10 of 2019. I will say that this is for sure, without a doubt, in my top 5 or 10 for this year.
You got me nervous.
Top 5 or 10.
Because it's been a heavy year.
Yeah, and there's some albums that I haven't re-listened to since we had to do the album review. So that also speaks volume, is longevity. And with our market being oversaturated with mixtapes and albums being dropped, it's very important to have a cohesive album that's also timeless and you can listen to it whenever, and it's just a feel-good moment. Because that's something that a lot of us are missing and we don't appreciate. We don't listen to albums anymore. We listen to singles. So for me to like 14 out of 15 tracks on here, I have to rate this a 9 out of 10, which I believe is the highest or the second highest of the year.
Damn. That's heavy, kid.
I know. Shit. I wonder if I'm going to feel this way next month. We'll find out. We'll definitely find out. But bravo, Wale. I am proud of you. Wow, that's crazy. This album wasn't too crazy, but wow, it was great. I liked it.
It was good.
And I love this track. Hey, I need to go on vacation. Be like you and Tut. I'm trying to go on a cruise in next 2 weeks, but everyone dropped out, and I don't want to go alone.
Cruises suck ass. Sorry.
I like cruises. Even though I go to the same places damn near all the time.
I don't fuck with cruises. You get fat.
Why?
On cruise.
Okay, you get fat on the cruise.
Yeah, I do. I eat because ain't shit to do but eat. You get tired of fucking with these little kids. You want to kick their ass, and there's food everywhere.
There is food everywhere.
Goddamn club sucks ass. I gotta wait to port, and there's a fucking line to get on to get off. I'm fucking with that shit, man.
What? I love cruises. That's why you gotta go on the cruises
are
that
the worst
are
thing
more
in America. Shout out to Joe Budden. It's worse.
I'm
Cruises are the worst.
Wow. You are crazy.
Uncle Buddy.
Because cruises are amazing.
Okay.
Amazing. But yes, where can the good people find you, G?
At Hands Made Button. No, I'm joking.